I'm sitting in an ER bay at 2 in the morning. A nurse is photographing my face, split lip, bruising along my left cheekbone, defensive marks on my forearms. My father did this. Because I said no. No to $2 million. I know what you're thinking. Who turns down that kind of money? What kind of person walks away from a gift like that? I'm asking a different question. What kind of father puts his child in the hospital because they said no? The answer is the kind who never saw it as a gift in the first place. I had the photos, the police report, the security footage. I had everything I needed to make sure he'd never do this again. But to understand why I turned down $2 million, you need to know one thing. That money was never free. Where are you watching from, and what time is it there? Drop a comment. And if you're sticking around for this one, hit that like button now. Let me back up. Because the night that landed me here started at my sister's wedding. Growing up, my sister was the golden child. Dad paid for her car when she turned 16. Brand new. He handed her the keys at dinner, no strings attached. When I turned 16, he said I could have a car too, as long as I worked for him. Weekends, evenings, filing, data entry, running errands. I earned that used sedan one oil-stained hour at a time. That's how his money always worked. For her, it was love. For me, it was leverage. When I was 23, I went low contact, started my own business, cybersecurity consulting. I learned to code in college, picked up a few certifications, and built a client list one referral at a time. 7 years later, I own a boutique firm, 7 figures in annual revenue. My team is small, my overhead is low, and I answer to no one. I did it without him. And here's the thing. I save everything. Emails, texts, contracts, receipts. I keep backups of backups. You learn that when you grow up with someone who rewrites history every time it suits him. I thought going independent meant I was free. I thought distance was the same thing as safety. I was wrong, because my father wasn't done. He was just waiting for the right moment, the right audience, and my sister's wedding gave him both. The reception had 200 guests. My sister looked beautiful. The venue was elegant. I stayed in the background, polite and distant. Then the toast started. Dad stood up with a glass of champagne and a microphone. I want to take a moment to talk about my youngest. That's me. We've had our differences. But family is family, and I believe in investing in my children's futures. He paused. The room went quiet. I'm giving you $2 million. No strings attached. To grow your business, to build your dreams. Applause. A few people stood. My sister was smiling. I felt my stomach drop. 10 minutes later, he pulled me into a side hallway. Here's how it works. You move your business under my holding company. I get signing authority. You relocate back here. We rebuild this family the right way. I stared at him. That's not no strings, Dad. He smiled. Not warm, tight. It's a good deal. Don't overthink it. I took a breath. I'm grateful. But I have to say no. The smile vanished. He walked back to the microphone. Well, folks, I tried. Some people are just too proud to accept help from family. Scattered, awkward laughter. He leaned close as he passed me. You just made a mistake you're going to regret. An hour later, I tried to leave. I made it to the parking lot before I heard his voice behind me. You embarrassed me in there. I turned around. Dad, I didn't mean you made me look like a fool. He grabbed my arm, hard. I tried to pull away. That's when he shoved me into the side of my car. I felt my lip split, tasted blood. He pulled his arm back again. Then someone yelled. One of the groomsmen ran over and stepped between us. Sir, stop, stop. My father backed off, adjusted his tie, walked away like nothing had happened. I drove myself to the ER. While I waited, my phone started lighting up. The family group chat. You embarrassed him at Jenna's wedding. He's under so much stress. Just apologize. Can you please just let this go? My sister, you're making my wedding about you. I'll never forgive you if you don't fix this. I sat there in that ER bay shaking. I thought about letting it go. It would be easier. But when the nurse asked if I wanted to file a report, I said yes. I thought I'd lost my family that night. I didn't realize I'd lost them years ago. Within 48 hours, I had 3 things. 1. The ER medical report. Blunt force trauma. Contusions to the face and arms. Split lip requiring 2 stitches. Defensive bruising consistent with an assault. 2. A police report. Case number filed. Officer's notes corroborating my statement and photographing my injuries on scene. 3. Text messages from my father, sent at 2:14 in the morning the night of the wedding. You've always been selfish. You ruined your sister's night. This isn't over. I forwarded everything to a lawyer I'd worked with on a business contract a year earlier. She called me within an hour. Do you want to press charges? I wasn't sure yet. I want to keep my options open. Then keep documenting. Save everything. Don't delete anything. Don't respond to him. Let me handle communication if he reaches out again. I hung up. I didn't know if I'd ever use the evidence, but I wasn't going to be caught without proof again. I grew up in a house where the story changed depending on who was listening. Not this time. I didn't know it yet, but my father had already made his next move. And it was worse than I thought. 4 days later, a certified letter arrived. Cease and desist. From my father's attorney. The language was dense, but the message was clear. If I pursued charges or made any public statements, they'd sue me for defamation and emotional distress. I called my lawyer. Can he do that? He can try. It won't hold up. But he's trying to scare you. That night, my mom called. My sister was on the line too. Honey, your father is devastated. He's barely eating. I stayed quiet. He made a mistake, but you're tearing this family apart. Can't you just forgive him? My sister cut in. If you don't drop this, I'm done. I mean it. I'll never forgive you. I was about to respond when my phone buzzed. Credit monitoring alert. I pulled it up while they were still talking. Someone had tried to open a line of credit in my name. A loan application. $150,000. I opened the PDF. The signature didn't match mine. Not even close. I have to go. I hung up. I zoomed in on the application. The address was mine. The social security number was mine. But the signature was his. My father wasn't just trying to control me. He was trying to trap me financially, and he thought I wouldn't notice. I didn't panic. I called my lawyer first, then the bank's fraud department. Then I did something I hadn't thought to do until then. I called the wedding venue. Hi, this is going to sound strange, but do you still have security footage from the reception on the 16th? The manager hesitated. We keep it for 90 days. Why? There was an incident in the parking lot. I'd like a copy. She put me on hold. When she came back, her voice was different. I need to tell you something. Your father contacted me 3 days ago. He offered me $5,000 to delete that footage. My heart stopped. What did you do? I said no. And I saved the email. I'm forwarding it to you now. I had 4 pieces of evidence by the end of the week. 1. Security footage. 10 seconds. Time stamped. My father shoving me. Hitting me. Clear as day. 2. A signed witness statement from the groomsmen who intervened. 3. The fraud analyst's report. The loan application came from my father's IP address. His office. His device fingerprint. 4. The email. My father offering $5,000 to make evidence disappear. I sat at my desk and stared at the screen. Now I had everything. And I knew exactly why he did it. I hired a forensic accountant. I needed to understand what I was really dealing with. She sent me her summary 2 days later. My father's holding company was insolvent. $1.2 million in debt. 2 creditor lawsuits already filed. Lines on his commercial property. The $2 million gift? It didn't exist. He was going to use my business. My credit, my client relationships. He'd planned to absorb my firm as a subsidiary and use it as collateral to restructure his debts. The wedding announcement wasn't generosity. It was theater, a public commitment I'd be too embarrassed to back out of. And when I said no in front of 200 people, I didn't just refuse him. I collapsed the whole scheme. 3 of those guests were potential investors, people he'd been talking to for months. I replayed the parking lot in my mind. He'd said, "You owe me. I made you." Now it made sense. He didn't lose his temper that night. He lost control of me. And that's the one thing he couldn't stand. I wasn't angry anymore. I was clear. And I knew exactly what to do. I assembled the team in 72 hours. A criminal attorney to coordinate with the prosecutor's office on the assault charge. A civil attorney to file a lawsuit for medical costs, emotional distress, and fraud damages. The forensic accountant to document the forgery and testify if needed. I filed a comprehensive credit freeze with all 3 bureaus. Fraud alerts on every account. Then I filed for a restraining order. My criminal attorney walked me through what would happen next. The hearing is in 10 days. The prosecutor will present the evidence. You'll have a chance to give a victim impact statement. Keep it short. Keep it factual. What should I say? Tell the truth. Don't embellish. Don't editorialize. Just say what happened and what you need. I spent 3 nights writing that statement. 1 page, 200 words. No anger, no drama. Just facts. I want accountability, not revenge. I want safety, not reconciliation. I want a legal record that says what happened to me was wrong. I didn't sleep much that week, but I didn't waver either. The hearing was set for the following Tuesday. I had one chance to make this stick, and I wasn't going to waste it. The courtroom was smaller than I expected. My father sat on the opposite side with his attorney. He didn't look at me. The prosecutor stood first. Your Honor, we're here on a charge of assault in the 3rd degree. The evidence is clear and corroborated. She played the security footage. 10 seconds. Silent. Brutal. I heard someone in the gallery gasp. My father's attorney stood up. Your Honor, this was a regrettable moment in a family dispute. Emotions were high. My client deeply regrets. The judge cut him off. Counselor, I've seen the video. Move on. The prosecutor presented the medical report, the police report, the witness statement from the groomsman. Then she nodded at me. It was my turn. I stood. My hands were shaking, but my voice was steady. I don't want revenge. I want a legal acknowledgement that what happened was wrong. I want protection, and I want him to get help so this doesn't happen to anyone else. I sat down. The judge looked at my father. Do you have anything to say? His attorney whispered to him. He shook his head. The judge leaned back. I'm granting a restraining order for 12 months. The defendant is convicted of assault in the 3rd degree, sentenced to probation, 50 hours of community service, and mandatory anger management. No contact with the victim. Bailiff, see that the order is entered today. The gavel came down. I walked out of that courtroom with a piece of paper that said I was right. 2 weeks later, my father's attorney called mine. They wanted to settle the civil suit. $80,000. Medical costs, legal fees, damages, I agreed. We signed the settlement in a conference room. My father wouldn't look at me. His lawyer slid the check across the table. I took it. One more thing happened that month. The credit bureaus reversed the fraudulent inquiries. Red flags went on my father's credit file. 2 of his business partners quietly withdrew from his company when the forgery came to light. It was over. 6 months later, my father's company dissolved. He took a salaried job with a competitor, mid-level, quiet. The restraining order stayed in effect. No contact, no intermediaries. I didn't feel satisfaction. I didn't feel vindicated. I just felt done. 8 months after the hearing, my sister sent me a text. I'm sorry I didn't believe you. I wasn't ready to see who he really was. I read it 3 times before I replied. I appreciate that. I'm not ready to go back. I left the door cracked, not open. My mom calls on my birthday now. We make small talk. She doesn't mention him. I don't ask. It's distant, but it's civil. And that's enough. I took $15,000 from the settlement and wrote a check to a local domestic violence legal aid clinic. I attached a note for people who need receipts and can't afford a lawyer. People ask me if I regret it. I don't. I regret that it was necessary. I regret that it came to this. But I don't regret standing up. Because here's what I learned. Boundaries aren't cruelty. Silence isn't peace. And sometimes the only way to love your family is from a distance. I still run my business. My team is still small. My revenue is still growing. I live quietly. I live well. My phone stays on Do Not Disturb most of the time. And I'm okay with that. The restraining order is still active. I haven't seen my father since the settlement signing. I don't plan to. Some people think that makes me cold. I think it makes me safe. So here's my question for you. Have you ever had to choose between family loyalty and your own safety? What would you have done in my position? Drop a comment. I read them all. And if this story helped you see something in your own life, hit subscribe. You're not alone. One last thing. This story is a fictionalized dramatization for educational and entertainment purposes. It is not legal, financial, or medical advice. If you're experiencing family violence, please reach out to local resources or call the National Domestic Violence Hotline. You deserve safety, you deserve peace, and you deserve to say no.